The award-winning CBS News reporter Norah O'Donnell just broke shocking news that is all over the news. Following years of commanding our attention on TV, Norah has revealed that she will be leaving. This shocking news came out of the blue and shocked everyone. That's not the end of it, though, as she told them about the terrible health news that will keep her from continuing her work. Dr. Hale told me, "I'll call you after Thanksgiving." Even more heartbreaking is the fact that Norah believes she is to blame for her terrible health condition. What could this sick report mean? Join us as we find out the heartbreaking facts. Norah O'Donnell, terrible news. CBS Evening News reporter and managing editor Norah O'Donnell has talked about the scary news she got about her health. Norah got her regular skin check at the dermatologist's office just a week before Thanksgiving. The last time she did this was a few years ago. She still chose to do it, though, and the effects were shocking. What did this terrible health report mean? Check back to find out. Norah got an upsetting email from her doctor. "I'm sorry to bother you over the holiday, but the results of your test are back, and we need to talk. I was shocked when I got this email." She looked for a place to sit with tears in her eyes. The mail was quickly sent to her sister, who tried to comfort her that everything would be okay. It most likely wasn't anything important. The answer from Norah's sister was maybe basal or squamous cell carcinoma. People like Norah's parents had been identified with this type of skin cancer before, and it was easy to treat. That meant Norah didn't need to worry about it. But this didn't help Norah. She was afraid of what would happen. Were the results not going to come out on Monday? Why did it have to come now? She asked herself. Calling her physician, Elizabeth K. Hale, Maryland, was the only thing that made Norah feel better. The biopsy result proved that Norah had melanoma, the doctor told her. The skin cancer that kills the most people. The shock of it all made Norah want to hide under something. Norah told him that she had heard of melanoma and knew that it was a type of skin cancer that spreads quickly and kills people. Norah was scared, and she was thinking about other things. Was she going to die? Stay put to find out. After a long pause on the phone, Dr. Hale asked Norah if she could hear him. She snapped back to the present. She heard Dr. Hale's words as she walked through the crowded store on Black Friday to get out. As she cried, her head was spinning and her chest was getting tight. Later, in the June issue of Good Housekeeping, Norah talked about how she was feeling. She had no idea how this could have happened. She had looked after herself well. Was it her fault in some way? Why did she wait until after my checkup? Norah felt guilty about the terrible news she was given. What came next? Stay tuned as we talk more about Norah's battle with cancer. Even though Norah O'Donnell was heartbroken and crushed by her diagnosis, she soon got some good news that made her feel hopeful. Dr. Hale told Norah that the melanoma could be cured because it was caught early. Norah didn't waste any time and decided she needed surgery right away. Norah looked at the report on her phone when she got to her car. It proved that the cancer was melanoma in situ. The word in situ comes from Latin and means in place. In this case, it means on the surface of her skin. This means that Norah's melanoma was in the epidermis, which is the skin's top layer. It wasn't in the skin yet, which is where the blood and lymph vessels are. Cancer cells can quickly spread to the rest of the body through these vessels. It only makes up 1% of skin cancer cases, but most of the deaths from it. That is, it wasn't a stage 0 cancer. Dangerous to life. As a reporter, Norah did study right away to find out what her diagnosis was. She found out that melanoma was the most dangerous type of skin cancer and the main reason young women die from skin cancer. She also knew that she could have avoided getting cancer in the first place if she had only gone to the doctor more often and made better decisions. Norah O'Donnell remembered that when she was growing up in San Diego, it would get up to 100 degrees in the summer. She went to the pool with her friends to cool off without putting on sunscreen because of this. She also went to the tanning shop a lot in high school, especially before prom. But how did all of these habits make her more likely to get melanoma? Dr. Hale said that people who got their first indoor tan before they turned 35 had a 75% greater chance of getting melanoma. What's even scarier is that tanning beds cause more skin cancer than smoking does. Not only did O'Donnell have these outside risk factors, but she also had a family history of melanoma, fair skin, and freckles. By 75% of melanoma. A lot of young women go to tanning beds. Norah's surgery wasn't until a few weeks later, so the biopsy spot could heal first. While this was going on, O'Donnell, being a mother, chose to tell her kids about her health condition. She told her 3 kids, Riley, 8, and twins Henry and Grace, 9, what was wrong with her health. The kids were interested, scared, and had a lot of questions. They thought their mom would die during the surgery, but O'Donnell told them she wouldn't. Not long after her kids went to sleep that night, Norah felt bad because she thought about what they were thinking. O'Donnell went to see Dr. Hale after the new year to have the cancer taken out. The doctor took off a 3-inch piece of skin from the left upper corner of her back. The cut needed 25 stitches to close, and it had to be closely watched while it healed. Their help was very important to Norah. They took turns putting the healing cream on her back scar. Dr. Hale told Norah she was very lucky after the surgery went well. "Norah, I'm so glad we found your cancer early. Because of many things you have, you were at a high risk. It was very sunny where you grew up in Texas. If they hadn't found the melanoma right away, things would have been much worse than the easy surgery they had. The mole was getting worse." Norah O'Donnell was lucky that she planned to see a doctor before Thanksgiving. She's still alive and well enough to grace our TV screens today. While talking to CBS this morning about her experience, Norah stressed how important it is to see a doctor at least once a year for a skin check. This way, melanoma can be found early and treated before it gets too far along to be curable. But Dr. Hale said that people who have some risk factors for melanoma should see a dermatologist once a year. Thanksgiving, and Dr. Hale told me, "I'll call you after Thanksgiving." A few months after the surgery went well, Norah's back still had a bright red scar from Donald. If she wore a dress without straps, you'd see it. Norah knows that the scar will probably always be there, but she decided to see it as a sign that early detection saves lives, just like it did for her. In addition, she said that the scar meant the end of a scary part of her life and the start of a new road to better health. But Norah's story doesn't end with the surgery. Stay tuned as we share more of Norah O'Donnell's story, even though she has recovered. Which type of skin cancer is not melanoma? It happens to a lot of people, you know? Every 3 to 4 months, Norah O'Donnell kept going to see Dr. Hale for checkups. During each visit, Dr. Hales watches Norah and often takes more than one biopsy. Case in point, she had 2 biopsies at her last visit. Norah made a joke that her body was starting to have holes like the moon. When she told her dad this, he told her better craters than cancer. Norah still gets her monthly checkups, even though she is no longer hosting CBS Evening News, since she doesn't have to say goodbye to us anymore. But then something strange happened, and Norah O'Donnell had to say goodbye to the CBS Evening News for good. What could it be? Let's find out. Norah O'Donnell is leaving CBS News, but she still goes to the doctor every 3 to 4 months. On her Instagram story, Norah O'Donnell wrote that her last days as host of CBS Evening News were coming to an end. People were shocked when she made this announcement while filming at the news station. Just why did Norah decide to leave CBS? She had been the host of CBS Evening News for 12 years. Was this because her health got worse, or was CBS firing her? Keep listening to find out. Just recently, Norah said that she would be hosting the evening news for 2 more months, until January 20th. Encouraged fans to keep watching as she marked the end of her time on TV. This was a surprise. After 5 years as the host of the evening show, O'Donnell was shocked to hear that she was leaving. When she talked about her choice, she said it was time to do something new since Donald Trump won the election for president. After being sworn in, Trump said, "America's decline is over." It would be her 7th year as a reporter. She and a lot of other journalists in the business tend to think of their jobs in terms of these big steps and events. The 24th of January was supposed to be O'Donnell's last day as host of CBS Evening News. There was a change in plans, though, because CBS was going to show the Farmers Insurance PM to 8 p.m. that night. At the same time, The O'Donnell Show was set to air on CBS at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For a good reason. The CBS Evening News has been on the air longer than any other evening news show in the United States. That didn't happen, though. Instead, she said goodbye to the show for good on Thursday, January 23rd. But CBS wanted O'Donnell's last show to be seen all over the country, so they did something different. O'Donnell stayed at the host desk to run the show during Donald Trump's inauguration. This was her last goodbye to CBS Evening News. That wasn't all, though. A special send-off was held for Norah O'Donnell. Many of you already know that this is my last evening news show. The show aired on Thursday night with Oprah Winfrey as a special guest. Winfrey shocked O'Donnell by showing up on the show. It would be like, oh my God, when is she going to let go of the audience? For 30 minutes or 40 minutes? The thing I really want is to talk to you. Winfrey was in charge of the farewell for Norah O'Donnell. She told O'Donnell how much she appreciated how much of an impact she had on her success. As a reminder of Norah O'Donnell's time on CBS Evening News, a selection of her best interviews was shown on the big screen. Winfrey said Norah's commitment was very special and that she had treated each story with kindness and grace, putting events in the world in perspective and giving a hug. Plenty of smiles and a few laughs along the way. This was a gift from the heart. In answer, O'Donnell talked about her time as the host of the CBS Evening News and said it was the most important job she had ever had. She also thanked the watchers for believing her and letting her bring hard news into their homes with a heart. When the CBS Evening News show was almost over, the team gathered around O'Donnell's desk and cheered her on. At the end of that night's show, Norah said, "I'll miss you too." Finally, that's all for tonight's CBS Evening News. I owe everyone I work with everything. Really, I love you. Good night. That was the last time Norah O'Donnell was on CBS Evening News. What was going to happen after that? Who would take the place of Norah O'Donnell, whose amazing voice and unique point of view as a reporter made her so popular? A lot of people work hard to make that show happen every night. You see the reporters and editors out in the field. You know, there is a new face for CBS Evening News. Because O'Donnell was leaving the evening news show, CBS made a change to it. They changed everything about the program. John Dickerson and Maurice Dubois would be in charge of the evening news from the show new home at the CBS Broadcast Center in New York starting January 27th. As the host of Face the Nation and top foreign affairs correspondent for CBS News, Margaret Brennan would lead political and foreign affairs coverage from Washington, D.C. Ciscoma. What was going on in the world, either on TV or by reading the New York Times on Sunday morning. Lonnie Quinn would be in charge of weather reports. This time, instead of Norah O'Donnell taking care of everything like before, for different people would each be in charge of a different part of the scheme. 5 years ago, the show was streamed from Washington, D.C. Now, the times have changed. But what did this mean for O'Donnell? O'Donnell was leaving CBS Evening News, but she wasn't leaving the network altogether. She had been given a bigger job at CBS. As a senior reporter, Norah O'Donnell works on special reports, big interviews, and investigations for 60 Minutes, evening shows, CBS News Sunday mornings, and other CBS shows. Thanks for being here tonight. CBS News has a long history of hiring the best reporters. In a statement, News CEO Wendy McMahon thanked Norah for all the great work she has done on the evening news for the past 5 years. He told her how grateful he was that she had chosen to keep working with them until the election. Even though it was said she would be leaving, she didn't stop working for them. In fact, she stayed until the very end, doing what a dedicated writer should do. Wendy McMahon, CEO of WWE, said that Norah's new job would let her work on shows for both CBS and Paramount, so more of the original stories and interviews that have made her famous would be shown to more people. As a senior correspondent, Norah's new job gave her the freedom to get big bookings on a number of channels. Norah O'Donnell saw this as a big chance and did not hesitate to take it. People will definitely miss Norah as the host of the evening CBS News. That much is certain. As a TV host on CBS, Norah had some great moments. Here are some of Norah O'Donnell's best moments with CBS. During her time as a CBS anchor, Norah O'Donnell has had many memorable moments. Her conversation with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was one of the most memorable parts of her trip. This conversation was very important for O'Donnell's career because it was the first time in 13 years that a U.S. TV network had talked to a Saudi leader, giving them full access to one of the most powerful people in the Middle East. For a week, O'Donnell went to Saudi Arabia and talked to Crown Prince Mohammed for an hour. This was Prince Mohammed bin Salman's first TV talk in the United States. Norah O'Donnell asked him some tough and touchy questions, like what part his country played in the civil war in Yemen, its relationship with Iran, abuses of human rights, and its main rival in the region. This interview not only showed how good O'Donnell is at interviewing people, but it also solidified her reputation as a journalist who can get and handle important interviews with world leaders. In 2016, she got an interview with Vice President Joe Biden, which was another time she will never forget. At least 2 times, O'Donnell turned down interviews with Joe Biden, even though she had been offered a few minutes to talk to him. She did this because she wanted to talk to Biden and his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, for a long time and in depth. She kept trying over and over again until she finally got a full interview. O'Donnell talked to Biden and his wife for an hour. The interesting thing about this interview is that it was the first one Biden did after deciding not to run for president. This is Trump's first car show in Detroit in 3 years. Yes, everyone thought he would run against Barack Obama. The Bidens also did this long interview for the first time since their son Beau Biden died over the summer. That's not the end of it, though. Because of this talk, O'Donnell was praised and given an award by the White House. The Merriman Smith Memorial Award in Broadcast Journalism was given to Norah O'Donnell by the White House Correspondents Association. This award was given to O'Donnell because she consistently and persistently gained high-profile interviews, such as the one she got with Biden and his wife that lasted an hour instead of a few minutes. One interesting thing Norah said was that she emailed Biden's chief of staff, the communications staff, the White House press secretary, close friends of the vice president, and even the president himself every single day in 2016. For 4.5 years, she worked on this until she got the chance to talk to Joe Biden and Dr. Joe Biden. That's not all, though. Norah's talk with Pope Francis was also very interesting. There were not many in-depth interviews with a sitting pope that ran on a U.S. network, so this was a big deal. It was also the first interview of its kind in a long time, since Pope Francis was usually busy giving them. The 60-minute interview gave the Pope a one-of-a-kind chance to talk directly to the viewers about some current problems that have been brought up in the past, such as the same blessing. Pope Francis talked to O'Donnell and explained the controversial statement made by the Vatican's Dicastor for the Doctrine of the Faith. The statement included rules on how to bless same-gender couples. He did say, though, that he didn't accept blessings of the union of the same, but of each person. These are some of Norah O'Donnell's exclusive talks with well-known people. But before Norah became a famous TV host, let's look at her work path and how she got to this point. Rise to fame of Norah O'Donnell. Noreen Bernadette and Francis Lawrence O'Donnell, who were both Irish, had a daughter named Norah Maureen O'Donnell on January 23, 1974. In fact, 3 of her grandparents came to the U.S. illegally, and her maternal grandfather lived here for 16 years. Not so Norah. Her family moved to San Antonio, Texas, when she was 3 years old. After a few years, they moved to Seoul, where she began her work as a broadcaster at an elementary school. The Korean Educational Development Institute hired Norah to record English lessons before she and her family moved back to San Antonio. This was where I lived with my parents, 3 brothers, and myself. Norah finished from Douglas MacArthur High School in 1991. After that, she went to Georgetown University and got a Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy in 1995. In 2003, she got a Master of Arts in Liberal Studies. Not long after she graduated, Norah got a job writing about Congress for Roll Call. After that, she worked for 12 years at the NBC network. She first worked as a host on The Today Show, then as the chief Washington reporter for MSNBC, and finally as an NBC News White House correspondent. She was also an anchor on Weekend Today and a regular anchor for MSNBC Live. That's not the end of it, though. Norah had worked as a reporter for NBC News shows, such as NBC Nightly News. It was cool to go back, and I think it's important to remember that so many people are away, not just troops, but also their families. Dateline NBC, The Today Show, and MSNBC. She also often gives her opinion on The Chris Matthews Show. Norah O'Donnell became a co-anchor for CBS This Morning in July 2011. Since then, she has been the host of some of the network's most popular shows. On May 6, 2019, as of now, O'Donnell is the anchor and executive editor of the CBS Evening News. She also took on the role of lead anchor for the network's political events and kept working as a contributing journalist for 60 Minutes. Norah has also worked for CBS as a chief White House correspondent, a CBS Evening News fill-in anchor, a CBS This Morning co-anchor, a 60 Minutes correspondent, a CBS Evening News anchor, and a managing editor. She used to be an evening news anchor for CBS and is now a senior correspondent for the network. Norah O'Donnell has grown as a writer in amazing ways. She is a dedicated woman who gives her job her all, and other women should follow her lead. Her incredibly hard work and loyalty, I'm so grateful. It was an honor to work with Gail for 7 years. I've won her many awards and made her famous around the world. Let's look at a few of them. It was said that Norah O'Donnell is one of Washington's 100 most powerful women. She was also named one of the top 100 Irish Americans by Irish American magazine in 2000. For her work on the Dateline NBC story, DC in Crisis, she got the Sigma Delta Chi Award for Breaking News in September 2001. After covering a breaking news story so well in real time, she got an Emmy in 2008. Norah won an Emmy in 2018 for her 6-month study and report on salt in the Air Force Academy for CBS this morning. The report was in the category of Outstanding Investigative Report in a Newscast. To top it off, she was given the Edgar Allan Poe Award by the White House Correspondents Association that same year. She currently lives in Washington, D.C., in the Upper West Side area of New York City with her husband, Jeff Tracy, who owns D.C. Chef Jeff's, and they got married in June 2001. They are lucky to have 3 kids, Grace, Henry, and Riley. What do you think about Norah O'Donnell's health condition and her decision to step down as host of CBS Evening News? Do you think these new hosts will be as good as Norah? Share your ideas with us in the comments. Do not forget to join, share, and like. Share and sign up to get more. Also, click on the video that comes up next. It will be fun for you.